Welcome to today's video on how to talk to yourself. Do you realize how much you talk to yourself? The constant chatter, the constant debate, even the constant argument that is happening in your mind all day long. Yes, you. And if you are in denial, then let me give you three mini situations and the truth shall prevail. When you woke up and thought, I slept late last night. Let me sleep for 10 minutes more. You were talking to yourself. When you dropped something and you said, oh my God, why am I so clumsy? You were talking to yourself. When you replayed your past or replayed a certain situation and thought, this is how I should have said, this is how I should have behaved. You were talking to yourself. So the question isn't if you are talking to yourself. The question is, how do you talk to yourself? And two, who is it that you're actually talking to? Intrigued? Let's dive right in. You know that at any given point of time, we have four different versions living within us. Four. Let's explore. And why do I say that four versions stay within us at any given point of time? Here is why. Here is the first version. We have a critic inside us. And what does the critic like to do? The critic is harsh and it likes to point out mistakes. Then we have the child within us. The child is sensitive and it's always craving for love and safety. The third version is the shadow self. And the shadow self is the parts that we ignore. And it carries fear and shame. And the fourth is our higher self. The calm, the wise part of us that is seeing beyond the moment. It looks at the bigger picture. So whichever version you speak to or the version that you give power to, that version is going to grow because every word that you speak to yourself feeds one of these versions. For me, the inner critic ruled my life for the longest time ever. And I loved my inner critic because it was my own way of getting attached to misery. Now, I've been in corporate sales for more than 20 years and I have done exceptionally well in a man's world. And every time we would have a company sales meet and I would be asked to present my win, I would have multiple questions come up. What if they find out that I'm not as smart as, I'm portraying? What if they ask me a question that I'm not able to answer? What if I forget some important part, which is going to give them their aha moment? And then you know what would happen? The minute I would have these questions that would bring me down, my body, my emotional state would also become like this. I would feel like a tightening in my chest. And because of that, I would literally look for someone who could tell me one or two things which were highly motivational so that I could pep myself up. I was always looking for someone on the outside who could really make me feel better before I went for this presentation. And this went on for years and years and years. Now, here is the thing. If you ever feel an emotion which is not serving you, which is fear or shame or guilt or anything else that is not serving you, remember it's a learned behavior. The reason you feel that particular emotion is because you have either experienced it in the past yourself or you have seen someone else experiencing it. That's why it comes to you. But it stops the minute you remember and you become cognizant of the fact that it's your inner critic which is empowering you. And how do you change that? The only way to change that is by changing your emotional state. Remember, I had this tightening of the chest, and the way I did it was by changing the script. So instead of saying, what if somebody asked the question that I don't have answer to? I told myself, well, I have my entire team with me. If they're asking a question that I don't have answer to, I can always tell them, that's a great question. I will get back to you. If I forget an important piece, it's okay. I'm going to tell my team to give me cues so that I can bring it into the presentation. And if people find out that I am not that smart, then well, that's their opinion of me. I am very smart because I am doing exceptionally well. If inner critic has been running your life the way it ran my life, then the good news is you can change the script anytime. So anytime you feel, what if I fail? You can immediately take a step back and say, what if I don't? So the idea is that when you upgrade your software, you create new experiences. Isn't that wonderful? Now let's talk about the second version that stays within us, which is the child. And the child is sensitive and it's always craving for love and safety. So let me tell you about something that happened with me. And it happened about a few years ago. So what happened was that I had forgotten a very, very dear friend's birthday. And I remembered it the next day. And not that my friend was upset or something, but I was so upset with myself. I was like, Komal, how could you do something like that? Like she never forgets your important date. She's always there for you. How can you be so busy with work that you forget something so important? And then I took a breather. I stepped away from that situation and I was like, where is this anger coming from? Where is this thing coming from where I'm like demeaning myself like this? And I realized that when I was 7 years old, I had spilled something in the kitchen and my mom was upset with me. And because my mom was upset with me, she said one or two things that, adults tell kids. And I felt really terrible at that time. So when I was getting angry with myself right now, I wasn't getting angry with the version that I have right now. I was getting angry with that 7-year-old Komal. And I was telling that 7-year-old Komal that why can't you remember things? How can you be so clumsy? But when I became more aware of this inner child, I stepped back, I looked at the 7-year-old and I said, it's okay. Whatever has happened, it's okay. You are loved. You are allowed to make mistakes. And I swear in that moment, something shifted. That 7-year-old Komal, she smiled. She felt okay. That heaviness, that feeling that I was feeling, it kind of just melted. And I realized this is how we mother ourselves. Every kind word that I said was the love that that 7-year-old needed. I love the shadow part. For years, I had the shadow part show up in just one way, and that way was procrastination. After I left my job, I decided that I want to really understand who am I, what is wrong with me, what is right with me, what constitutes Komal. And so I started doing a lot of courses. I did NLP, I did inner child healing, I did mirror work, I learned about shadow work. I was like taking it all in. And then there came a time where I said, oh my God, I have met wonderful mentors. Now I want to be that mentor to the world outside. And I want them to have one safe place where they can come and discuss whatever they want to. And that's a beautiful thought. But every time I went in front of the laptop to do something, to create something, my shadow showed up in the form of procrastination. Instead of doing the work, I would start making something in the kitchen. I would start cleaning up the fridge. I would start rearranging my clothes. And my one question was, why am I so lazy? And because I had learned shadow work, one night as I was lying down in my bed, I said, okay, shadow, what are you trying to teach me? What is going on over here? What is the underlying emotion behind this procrastination? And I understood that I was not lazy. I was procrastinating because I was scared. I was scared, what if I fail? I was scared, what if I succeed? What if I fail and people make fun of me? Or what if I succeed and I'm not able to keep up with this beautiful and big, huge community that I create? How am I going to cope up? And at that point of time, I realized that my shadow self was trying to protect me. Feelings create healings. And the minute I started feeling what I was feeling underneath that procrastination, I started healing. The success and the failure lost its power. The fear that did not allow me to move forward gave me power to propel. And then there is the higher self, the wiser me. And it is the calm, wise side of me. And it is so opposite to the critic because it talks to me in whispers. It's not loud, it doesn't argue. I remember one night I was spiraling down, going down and down again in self doubt. And I was thinking, what if nobody comes to me? And then the inner self, the higher self, calmly in a whisper told me, what if you reach out and maybe one woman, just one woman, needs to hear and gets hope from what you have to share? My inner self reminded me that I'm capable, that I'm enough, and that I have it all. And that is all that mattered, and that is all that matters. Moment of truth for you. Which of these voices run your life right now? Be honest and write in the comment box below. Is it the critic? Is it the child? Is it the shadow that's always trying to hide? Or is it the higher self? And I'm going to be giving a lot of tools and tips and tricks in my channel. So if you like it, then subscribe. So here is what you need to know, my friend. Talking to yourself is not madness, it's medicine. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. And right this very second, as you're talking to yourself, as you have that chatter going on, what version of you is showing up? Because that version will decide if you're stuck or you're free. If this spoke to you, then share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because in each one of us, there are 4 versions. And sometimes one conversation is enough to change someone's life.